All right, Shalom. We want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahawah Bahasham, YAHAWASHI Bahasham Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who taught me this truth, and Shalom to the hopeful elect. What if America went completely dark? Okay? More predictive programming. And they always tell you these things before they take place.
A lot of developing news coming out today as we're hearing that Iran is threatening power grid blackouts around the world. Now, this comes as well as we currently still have more water supply attacks that are taking place here in the United States. Donald Trump is warning that whoever is spreading the rumors about our munitions running out will be arrested. And we have received word that 20 nations have united in the last 24 hours to discuss the potential repercussions for what's going on with Israel and the Al-Aqsa Mosque, or the Dome upon the Rock. A lot of developments. Let's go ahead and get you caught up on the latest. Take a look here. Iran lawmakers threaten U.S. power grid if Iran is attacked. Now, this came out last week, you'll recall, as they had threatened directly the U.S. power grid. In addition to that, coming out today, region will turn into a ball of fire, or fireball. Iran threatens Gulf energy sites over any new U.S. attacks. And take a look here. Iran threatens to black out the Gulf if power plants are hit by the United States. We're hearing they will black out the entire region, was the exact quote we received from Iran. Now, in addition to that, take a look here. Trump said that he was poised for the United States to do the largest strike since World War II on Iran, as we had heard that they were going to be hitting energy sites throughout the region. And Trump denies that the U.S. weapon shortages is taking place and says the information leakers, they are going to be hunted down. This coming out just 2 hours ago today. And we are hearing at least 12 states have reportedly have been hit with cyber attacks. They believe it is the IRGC, our water supply systems. And they believe this is IRGC-backed hackers. Now, in addition to that, we've received word in Massachusetts. Water systems are being monitored as cyber attacks are targeting other states. And I shared with you, New Jersey has been confirmed as another one of the states that has been hit. We're going to be getting into all the details. And take a look at this. Big news coming out in the last 24 hours. 20 Muslim nations are weighing joint action over Israeli violations at Al-Aqsa. In fact, we're hearing Jordan to convene an emergency meeting on the imminent Israeli takeover of...
Yeah, so judgment is coming, man. All right? And judgment is getting ready to fall upon America's spiritual Egypt. All right? And we know that darkness is associated with the Most High's judgment. All right? This is the book of Exodus chapter 10 and verse 20, and it reads, it says, "But the Lord, YAHAWASHI, hardened Pharaoh's heart, so that he would not let the children of Israel go." All right? Darkness over the land. All right? Exodus 10 and 21. "And the Lord, YAHAWASHI, said unto Moses, Stretch out thy hand toward heaven, that there may be darkness over the land of Egypt, even darkness which may be felt. And Moses stretched forth his hand toward heaven, and there was a thick darkness in all the land of Egypt 3 days. They saw not one another, neither rose any from his place for 3 days. But all the children of Israel had light in their dwellings," right? And the same thing is going to happen in this time, man. Okay? When they black it out or whatever happens, cyber attacks, all right, the power grid gets hit, whatever, EMP, whatever the case may be, the Lord is going to take care of his elect during that time of trouble. You know? It says, verse 24, "And Pharaoh called unto Moses and said, Go ye and serve the Lord, YAHAWASHI. And it says, Only let your flocks and your herds be stayed. Let your little ones also go with you." All right, so the point is, the darkness is part of the plagues, all right, that the Lord is getting ready to bring upon this spiritual Egypt. Okay, and they've been talking about this topic for years, all right, how the power grid has always been vulnerable for an attack to be taken out. Okay, blackouts, rolling blackouts across America. So there's different scenarios that can play out that can bring this power grid down. All right. says the power grid relies on thousands of aging hand-built transformers. If enough failed, the blackout could last years. See? We're not going to read all that. Let's just quick summarize it real quick. And then we'll move on to the next point. All right. But the bottom line is that this is coming. Okay. Bear with me 1 second. Let this pull up. All right. Quick summary here. It says a risk of prolonged blackout trigger a critical number of failures occurring within the system. Consequence: the resulting power outage could persist for several years. Right? All right, that's all it's gonna give me. Okay, we'll take that. All right, that's straight to the point, man. Let's see what else. I thought it'd be a little bit more, but yeah, that looks like it's about it, man. So yeah, that's straight to the point, man. What else can be said, man? All right, if they knock out this power grid, it is a wrap for America, man. And you talking about complete hell breaking out across the whole country, man. All right, and they're saying that if this happens, this could last for years, right? So anyway, moving on. Okay, it's quick in the news, right? So let's go here. Okay, so I want to read this before I play this video here. So it says, are we closer to nuclear war than ever before? And the answer is yes. All right, and we're actually gonna summarize this too. All right, get straight to the point. All right, so bear with me 1 second, and then we'll play this video from Kim Iverson on the right here. Okay, and yes, we are closer to nuclear war than ever before. Let me get a quick scripture. Romans. All right, was it Romans 11 or Romans 13? All right. This is the book of Romans, chapter 13 and verse 11. And it reads, Romans 13 and 11, it says, in that, knowing the time, that now it is high time to awake out of sleep, for now is our salvation nearer than we believe. So of course, all right, we're closer to nuclear war more than ever. And knowing the time, right? We know the time, man. We know the time that nuclear destruction is at the door, the salvation of the Lord's elect. Okay, the end of Babylon the Great, the end of Esau's power. Okay, we're aware of the time, right? 1 Thessalonians. And this is why we're reporting on these things, man. Because every day is one step closer to these things being fulfilled. All right, this is 1 Thessalonians 5 and 1. The day of the Lord, YAHAWASHI, says, but of the times and seasons, brethren, you have no need that I write unto you, right? So we're aware of the times and seasons that we live in. All right, and I always bring this word out for that word for seasons. Or is it the times? Hold on. Let's try seasons first. All right, the times and seasons. Yeah, this word seasons here. Okay.
Strong's G 2540. Kairos. Kairos.
That's the word for seasons, and it says the point here. Number one, a fixed indefinite time. Excuse me. It says a fixed indefinite time. The time when things are brought to crisis, right? The decisive epoch waited for, right? So we understand the times and seasons we're in, where things are getting ready to be brought to a crisis, man. All right, the end of an age, nuclear war. Okay? So again, going back to the read, right? Are we closer to nuclear war than ever before? It says here, quick summary. It says the escalating threat of nuclear war. It says public apathy. The author argues that the general public lacks understanding of the devastating consequences of modern nuclear weapons and is dangerously apathetic towards the escalating global conflicts. Russia-Ukraine escalation, deep strikes in Russia, Ukraine has intensified long-range drone and missile strikes deep inside Russian territory, targeting Moscow, defense manufacturing, example given Roscosmos, oil infrastructure, and retail warehouses, example given Wildberries. U.S. involvement. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov have accused the U.S. of actively providing intelligence and assistance for these strikes, a claim the author believes is accurate. Risk of nuclear use. Pundits on Russian television are increasingly discussing the use of tactical nuclear weapons. In response, China has reportedly warned Russia against resorting to atomic attacks. Okay, a little bit more here. It says Middle East tensions, U.S. threats. Former Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene has claimed that high-level U.S. strategy meetings have discussed using nuclear weapons against Iran, which we're going to watch in this video here. Iranian escalation. A senior Iranian Revolutionary Guards official has warned that Iran's military actions could shift from defensive to offensive. Primacy, strategic surprises, right? This is part of the strategic surprises right here. All right, an American blackout. Okay, it says Israeli retaliation. The author speculates that a single unconventional attack from Iran would likely trigger a massive nuclear response from Israel. See, it's going down. All right, let me jump down here. I skipped over that. Yeah, China and Taiwan flashpoint. Military preparations. China is rapidly expanding its nuclear arsenal and making preparations for a potential military move against Taiwan. Right? U.S.-China war and an invasion of Taiwan would likely draw the U.S. into a direct war with China, carrying a high risk of rapid nuclear escalation. All right, so America is being drawn in everywhere. All right, war with China, Russia, Iran. Okay, catastrophic consequences, immediate casualties. According to a Princeton simulation, a limited U.S.-Russia nuclear exchange would kill over 34 million people and injure 57 million within the first few hours, right? Nuclear winter. A Rutgers study estimates that a full-scale nuclear war would cause a nuclear winter leading to global crop failures and the starvation of over 5 billion people. Man, call to action. The author warns continued bricksmanship is playing with fire and urges an immediate end to the wars in Ukraine and in the Middle East to avoid the destruction of society. Well, that's not going to happen. All right, because what we're reading here, all right, is all tied to prophecy, right? Let's go to Isaiah 13 real quick and we'll go to the video. All right, so this is Isaiah. Okay. Yep, this is Isaiah, and then we'll start at we'll start at 4. Isaiah 13 and 4. And it reads, the noise of a multitude in the mountains like as of a great people, a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of nations gathered together. The Lord, YAHAWASHI of hosts, mustered the host of the battle. All right, the Lord is gathering the troops together for this final world's war, World War III. They come from a far country, from the end of heaven, even the Lord, YAHAWASHI, and the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land, and that whole land is America. Judgment on the day of the Lord. Verse 6, Isaiah 13:6. Howl ye, for the day of the Lord YAHAWASHI is at hand. It shall come as a destruction from the Almighty. Right? This is why we're reading about, or we just read about, are we closer to nuclear war than ever before? Right? It says, therefore shall all hands be faint and every man's heart shall melt. And they should be afraid, pangs and sorrows shall take hold of them. They should be in pain as a woman that travaileth. They should be amazed one and another. Their faces shall be as flames. All right, people are going to be completely torched and burned in that day. Behold, the day of the Lord, YAHAWASHI, cometh. This is what we're telling you. All right, the day of the Lord is coming. Cruel both with wrath and fierce anger, to lay the land desolate. All right, he's going to lay Babylon, America, desolate. And he should destroy the sinners thereof out of it. For the stars of heaven and the constellations thereof should not give their light. The sun shall be darkened in its going forth, and the moon should not cause her light to shine. And I will punish the world for their evil, and the wicked for their iniquity. And I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease, and I will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible, man. So what a terrible day, what a great and terrible day this is going to be. Okay? And you've been warned, right? So let's get into this here.
So Marjorie Taylor Greene drops a bomb that the United States is thinking about dropping a bomb, a nuclear bomb on Iran. She says right here, they are discussing using nuclear weapons on Iran in strategy meetings. Yes, you read that correctly. It's real. I'm not speculating. I know. And it's pure evil. The last time a nuclear weapon was used was August 6th and 9th of 1945 on two cities in Japan, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, immediately killing 110,000 people, vaporizing people at ground zero, and total deaths reached 214,000 by the end of the year from severe burns and trauma. But the extreme suffering continued for the Japanese people from radiation sickness, skyrocketing cancer rates, and generational birth defects, not to mention wiping out all means of their economy. And the suffering was so great that all of humanity vowed never again. Trump and his admin were told by our own intelligence that Iran was nowhere near creating a nuclear weapon. Then Israel said the same line. It's repeated for decades. Iran is only weeks away, so we bombed anyways. Killed their leaders and innocent little children in a school. And Iran has controlled the Strait of Hormuz ever since and punished the region for their part in it. And now our government is the one actually discussing lowering the nuclear threshold in order to use nuclear weapons against Iran, even though Trump claims he won the war like 40 times and says the U.S. controls the Strait of Hormuz. Trump promised no more foreign wars, but may actually be the one who delivers a nuclear holocaust that would likely drag the entire world into a major conflict, economic depression, and mass human suffering we've never seen in our lifetimes and maybe throughout history. People need to speak out and boldly stop this insanity. America is not untouchable. If and when that happens, everyone, and I do mean everyone, will hold all of those in.
Yeah, it's the will of the Lord. You know, these people talk about stopping this thing, right? But the king's heart is in the hand of the Most High. And he turneth whithersoever. Matter of fact, let me get it. I don't want to beat it up. You know? But you know, a lot of these, you know, podcasters, they don't know. You know what I'm saying? They're delusional. They don't understand prophecy and the will of the Lord. This is Proverbs 21:1. This is the king's heart, meaning the king's mind is in the hand of the Lord. YAHAWASHI, as the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. So the Most High is, YAHAWASHI is guiding this thing, man, according to his own will, to his purposes, man. Okay? Nuclear destruction will happen, right? I was thinking about this in 2 Ezra 16 too. All right? You're talking about global devastation, man. All right? 2 Ezra 16:1. Woe be unto thee, Babylon and Asia. Woe be unto thee, Egypt and Syria. All right? This is the so-called Middle East. All right? Asia. All right? China, Russia, America, the Western powers. All right? Woe, destruction. Gird up yourselves with cloths. Gird up yourselves with cloths of sack and hair. Bewail your children and be sorry, for your destruction is at hand. All right? So again, we're definitely closer than ever before. All right?
against Iran, even though Trump claims he won the war like 40 times and says the U.S. controls the Strait of Hormuz. Trump promised no more foreign wars, but may actually be the one who delivers a nuclear holocaust that would likely drag the entire world into a major conflict, economic depression, and mass human suffering we've never seen in our lifetimes and maybe throughout history. People need to speak out and boldly stop this insanity. America is not untouchable. If and when that happens, everyone, and I do mean everyone, will hold all of those in leadership right now fully responsible for the rest of human history. Do not use nuclear weapons and stop this war now, is what she says. So again, she says that this is not something she's speculating she knows. So she says they are discussing using nuclear weapons in Iran in strategy meetings. And she says it's real. I'm not speculating. I know. So where did she get this information? We don't know. That has not been disclosed by anybody. So we really don't know where Marjorie Taylor Greene got this information. But I trust she probably got this from a pretty good source. She's well connected. People are pretty appalled by the Iran war. I'd imagine a lot of people who are in the administration's inner circle are also appalled, but what can they do about it? You know, they sit there quietly and they comply, which they absolutely should not be doing. But, you know, what's interesting about this is the narrative of the reason why we're even at war with Iran has been to stop them from getting a nuclear weapon. And Israel says, and they've been saying for 40 years, that Iran is 2 weeks away from a nuclear weapon. So Trump then says, have you ever looked yourself up online? What's shocking is how much private information is out there for anyone to find on each of us. My sponsor, Cloaked, dared me to see how exposed my information really is, so let's go ahead and do this. So here we go to their site, entering in my telephone number. You can see how quickly the information comes. The number one goal is, and always will be, that Iran cannot have, in any way, shape, or form, a nuclear weapon. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Now, you have to remember, whenever they tell you these propagandizing statements, you always have to go back and ask what the original claim was and why. So when they say, okay, Iran can't have a nuclear weapon, you have to ask, well, why? Rather than just taking it at face value, like, yeah, of course they can't have a nuclear weapon. Ask yourself the question, why can they not have a nuclear weapon? Plenty of countries have nuclear weapons. Countries that I would even deem to be quite dangerous, Pakistan being one of them. Pakistan is run by their military. They do have a lot of extremists in Pakistan. They don't have exactly the most stable government. If there's a revolution in Pakistan, and the extremists get control of the government, which is always a possibility, I think the world is at much greater risk from Pakistan having a nuclear weapon than many of these other countries having nuclear weapons. Of course, North Korea has a nuclear weapon. We were told for many, many years that if North Korea gets a nuclear weapon, that they would be nuking California or something along those lines, that they would nuke the United States. Anyway, they've had a nuclear weapon for quite some time now, and they have not dropped a nuke on anybody. So the question then is, why can Iran not have a nuclear weapon? And I'm not saying that, oh, Iran should be able to have one because Pakistan has one and North Korea has one, and the United States, who's the only country to drop it twice, has one, or many, and Israel, we know, has them. You know, that's not the reason why Iran, that's not really the question I'm asking. The question I'm asking is, why can they not have a nuclear weapon? And the answer that they've given us, right, is because they would use it. That's the answer they give us. Why can they not have a nuclear weapon? Because they would use it. Okay. So now the answer is apparently we need to nuke them in order to stop them from nuking us. So this is the Israeli way of thinking, because we've been watching this throughout the entire the genocide in Gaza, and their thinking is, you want to genocide us, so we're going to genocide you before you can genocide us. That's the thinking. It's, I know you want to kill me, so I'm going to kill you before you can kill me. And that is actually illegal. That doesn't actually hold up in a court of law. So if you've got somebody who, you know, self-defense is, of course, that holds up. So if somebody actually actively comes after you, they're trying to kill you, you have the right to kill them first. I mean, if they come after you with a machete, you can shoot them dead. That is legal. But what isn't legal is saying, I think my neighbor wants to kill me. I'm pretty sure they want to kill me. They've even said they want to kill me. And so I went over there
So, you know, you get the point. It's going down, man. What can we say? All right, we're here. All right, nuclear war closer than ever before. Okay? What if America went completely dark? All right, these are the scenarios that are being presented here, man. All right, so we're just giving you the warning. All right, as we were commanded to do, Habakkuk 2nd chapter, and that's it. All right, Habakkuk 2 and 2, and it reads, it says, "And the Lord, YAHAWASHI, answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie, though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. And the vision, which is the prophecies, no longer tarry." All right? It's about to get real evil. You see? Shalom.